They said when the last warder's lantern went out, the lake would remember every sorrow ever buried beneath its waves. And on the night it finally happened, the mist began to whisper our names. This is the story of Emberlake, and of the two souls who learned that light is not always fire. Sometimes it's forgiveness. At
Story Sphere, where every story breaths.
the edge of the world, tucked between cedar woods and quiet hills, stood a small village called Emberlake. Every evening, lanterns lined its wooden docks, each flame a promise that darkness would not cross the water. Clara Winters tended those flames, the last keeper of a fading tradition. Her father had been a warder, her mother a dreamer, and she inherited both callings. Yet each night she wondered, what happens when you're the only one still keeping watch? The storm brought with it a wanderer, Elias Rowan. His coat was torn, his hands scarred, and his eyes carried something heavier than years. Guilt. Years ago, he was the warder's son. He had promised to protect the lights when his father vanished, but he left instead, chasing silence across the country. Now he had returned to find the lanterns dim, the lodge abandoned, and Clara alone. When their eyes met across the rain-lit dock, both saw in the other what they feared most, the reflection of their own regret. That night the lake began to stir. Locals called it the night foam, a pale mist that crept over the water when the lanterns grew weak. It carried whispers, not words, but memories. Clara felt them brush her skin like cold breath, the laughter of her mother, the final sigh of her father. Elias heard his father's voice, not scolding, not accusing, only weary, asking, "Why did you stop lighting the flame?" The mist climbed the pier, the lanterns flickered, and for the first time in a century, darkness reached the village edge. They took refuge inside the old warder's lodge, walls lined with journals, maps, and sketches of every lantern ever built. Dust, silence, and memory filled the room. Clara found an entry dated 20 years ago, Elias's father's handwriting. The lake remembers pain, but light made from love can calm it. Elias realized his father hadn't fled. He had gone into the mist, to keep it from consuming them all. So together, they rebuilt what time had taken. Clara cleaned the glass. Elias mended the iron. Each stroke of their hands was a confession, each silence a prayer. And when they lit the first lantern again, the flame burned blue. Outside, the night foam surged higher, tendrils reaching the shore. Elias stood in the rain, lifting the largest lantern toward the lake. It's not the flame they fear, he thought. It's the memory of those who once believed. He tore a patch from his old uniform, the one he'd worn the day he left, and used it as a wick. The flame caught, the mist screamed. Clara joined him, shielding the lantern with her hands. Their reflections merged in the glass. Two faces, one light. The storm broke. The mist recoiled. And for the first time in decades, Emberlake saw dawn through clear air. Morning came quietly. The lake was still. The air smelled of cedar and renewal. Villagers stepped out one by one, eyes wide at the sight of the lit lantern stretching across the shore. Clara and Elias stood at the edge, hands clasped. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. The light between them said enough. The lake had kept their secrets. Now it kept their promise. We all have our Emberlakes, the places inside us where regret meets hope, where the light goes out, and we wait for someone brave enough to relight it. Sometimes that person is someone you've lost. Sometimes it's you. So tonight, when you see a light in the distance, remember, maybe it's not just a lantern, maybe it's a second chance. And if this story touched your heart, leave a comment below. Tell us what light you've been keeping. Subscribe to the channel and share this story with someone who needs to remember that even when the mist rises, hope still burns.
Story Sphere, where every story lives on.